Hey everybody, it's John from 8 Worlds, and today I'm going to explain to you why, regardless of your console allegiances, Sonic the Hedgehog, not a good game. Sorry. In today's era of AAA mega hits like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, and GTA, we hear a lot of complaints that sequels aren't adding anything to the franchise. Games get caught up in that one initial explosion of success and try to replicate it over and over again, rather than evolving into new, greater experiences. But allow me to take you to the other end of the spectrum. What if there were games that were successful and yet their creators had seemingly no idea why? What if initial success led to a devoted enough fan base to give the illusion of continued success as a franchise delves farther and farther into a web of confusing failures? When Sonic the Hedgehog premiered for the Sega Genesis, it was advertised as being one simple thing: fast.
Sonic the Hedgehog. More action, more speed.
If you had to distill the concept of the entire Sonic Empire into one single word, it would, or at least should, be fast. But why? Can you think of a single game in the Sonic series in which moving quickly is advisable or even a legitimate option? The very first Sonic game ever released plays as if it were developed by two entirely independent teams. One team was told to design the levels and that they needed to compete with Nintendo's Super Mario Bros. The second team was told to design a character, something edgy, who would be the polar opposite of a fat plumber. The first team made levels full of tedious platforming. The second team made a race car. Race cars aren't good at platforming. It's attitude. When you push forward on the D-pad, Sonic starts running. He slowly builds up speed. This is good, says your brain. You're excited because this little blue guy is really zipping along fast. This is way more exciting than Mario, but then you hit a bad guy. Sonic dies. What? How could you have seen that coming? You were going so fast that he hit you before you had time to react. There's some basic game design rule breaking going on right from the beginning, but you figure that you can just memorize the enemies there. You play again and make it past the enemy and pick up some rings. Then you hit another enemy and drop your rings. Oh, you think to yourself, rings allow me to take a hit. You start moving again, but to your dismay, you've lost all your momentum now and you have to get Sonic back up to speed. You finally build up speed. You're really moving fast now. You're picking up rings, defeating enemies like a pro. Sure, some enemy placement has caused you to take damage and therefore slow down, but you are making progress. Then the unthinkable happens. A spring concealed in a wall sends you flying backwards through half the level. Why, game? Why? As you start playing through the level again, you realize something. In order for me to play this game, I need to move slowly. The problem is that Team 2, who designed Sonic, made him control better at high speeds than low. When walking, he feels heavy, almost like he's underwater, and when he is underwater, the game verges on being unplayable. Let's review what we've learned. The first Sonic game features a character who is built to move fast, but levels that are intended to be played slowly. Like this part, okay, you literally cannot, because this whole thing is timed. Like, it's the most meticulous, like, you can't go fast through there, you just literally can't. The game actively tries to keep you from moving quickly by punishing you for doing so. Imagine if every time you jumped in Mario, you lost your power-up. The game would be a contradiction, essentially saying, jump so I can punish you. That's exactly what the first Sonic game does. Run so I can stop you. I wish I could say that it gets better from there, but it doesn't. Yes, later Sonic games made improvements, and the franchise continues to try new things to this day, but they never addressed that first issue. When playing any Sonic game, you will, at some point, be punished for doing exactly what Sonic was intended to do: go fast. So why then is Sonic a successful franchise? Because it has to be. Look at your collection of games, particularly those that launched with a system or were strongly pushed by a console developer as the game to get. Are those the best games? In many cases, no, but they are popular. Sonic the Hedgehog was pushed as a game for cool kids. It was, when it launched, one of the few quality titles available on the Genesis, and most importantly, it was the closest you were going to get to Mario on your Genesis. If you owned a Genesis, you owned Sonic the Hedgehog. You didn't own it because you knew from experience it was good, you owned it because you would be lame if you didn't. And besides, what else were you going to play on a system that no one was making games for? Sonic succeeded out of necessity, not playability. That pseudo-success allowed it to continue and gave the developers the impression that what they had hit upon was good. Therefore, those broken mechanics were written down as law in Sonic's rulebook. To put it simply, the reason Sonic the Hedgehog is popular today is because a lot of people owned it in the past. You'll hear many Sonic fans today say that the franchise isn't as good as it once was. They say that Sonic controls poorly and that the games in general just don't play as well. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Sonic hasn't gotten worse. Your taste has gotten better. Sonic controls just as poorly as he always has, and there's really no evidence to say that that's ever going to change. Yeah, oh, there's one up. Hey, guess where that sends you? Frack! Frack! Yep. That sums it up. That's it. The end.